Right. Good morning and welcome back, everybody. Happy Rosh Hashanah for those of you who celebrate or have friends and that celebrate. I'm calling to order the Connecticut State Special Education Advisory Council (SAC) on today, Wednesday, September 24th at 9:02. And my name is Missy Wrigley. I am a parent and the chair of our council. Please remember, and I'm one who breaks this rule a little bit, if you're using an acronym when you are speaking, please take a second to explain what that means. And if you don't, Jen will catch you, I'm sure. So, okay. Can I ask, Christine, are you going to put up the slides?
The PowerPoint slides? Yep.
Yeah.
Give me just 1 minute to grab them. Hang on.
Okay, our purpose and function. When we get those slides up, we can skip to that one. That would be really good. SAC brings together the Connecticut State Department of Education, educators, related service providers, administrators, legislators, parents, as well as students and persons with disabilities, all dedicated to supporting the education of students with disabilities. Through these meetings, our priorities and recommendations for CSD and the Connecticut General Assembly are formed. That will be one of our major tasks today. More detailed information on the Connecticut State Department of Education website, along with past videos and annual reports for those that are interested in that. Okay. So let's do some introductions and find out who we have here. So members, please introduce yourself. Tell us your role on this council. All right. So I've already introduced myself as Missy Wrigley, and I am a parent. Let me just go right around my little Brady Bunch box here. Lauren, could you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Lauren Johns. I am a project specialist here at CERC, and I am helping to coordinate this along with my colleague, Christine, and looking forward to working with everyone.
Excellent. And Christine, since she gave you an opening.
I love that. I'll go right in. Hi, everybody. I'm Christine Killowen, consultant at CERC, and we are helping with anything and everything SAC needs. Happy to be here today.
Jen?
Good morning, everyone. Jen Lucier. I'm here representing the Connecticut Parent Advocacy Center, which is Connecticut's Parent Training and Information Center, and representing parents of students with disabilities.
Lori?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lori Fortuna, and I am a parent stakeholder.
Susan?
Hello, I'm Susan Yankee, and I am a parent.
Tom?
Good morning, Tom Kosker, advocate with Disability Rights Connecticut, the protection advocacy system here in Connecticut, and I'm also the parent of 2 children, one of whom has an IEP.
Nachi?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Nachi Bont, representing children in foster care at DCF. Thank you.
Catherine?
Good morning, everyone. I'm representing Aging and Disability Services, Bureau of Education and Services for the Blind.
Brian? Brian?
No, I thought you said Brian.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry. Brian with a Y. How's that? I'm going
Brian
around
with
my
a
list
Y.
here.
Okay, I'll go off camera.
No, you go ahead, Brian.
No, you got a lot of camera time this week, so take it.
Morning, everybody. Hope your school year is off to a wonderful start. My name is Brian Klimkowitz. I'm the Special Education Division Director at the State Department of Education.
You do.
Brian?
No, not yet. I'm going, if I don't go around the row here, I'll lose somebody.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Kimberly Williamson, and I represent speech language pathologists.
Evan and Janelle.
Ready? Go ahead. My name is Evan Simlick, and this is Janelle Morella, the transition coordinator, and I'm the young adult
For Stafford Public
Schools.
Excellent. Welcome. Eve.
Good morning. I'm Eve Hurley. I serve as the Director of Pupil Services for Colchester Public Schools. I'm new to the committee, excited to join you and do a lot of learning this year. I'm here also as a representative of CONCASE.
Excellent. Welcome. I recognize you now that I see your face, so welcome.
Thank you.
Giovanni. Giovanni?
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Joviana Morales. I am here as a parent.
John.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sean Cronin. I work with Brian Klimkowitz at the State Department of Education in the Bureau of Special Education and Due Process.
And Jeff?
Yes, Jeffrey Spar. I am a parent stakeholder, and I'm also the chairman of the Legislative Committee and on the Executive Committee.
And Representative Comey?
Good morning, everyone. Representative Comey, call me Robin. I am.
You went on mute.
Okay, good. And I represent Branford, and I'm happy to be here. I've been a member for quite some time, I feel like. Thank you.
Allison.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Allison Copey. I represent the Department of Aging and Disability Services, specifically the Bureau of Rehabilitation Services, or BRS.
All right. Dimpy?
Hi, did you call my name?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find something else, and I'm not speaking into the thing very clearly.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Fulton Williams. I'm a mom of a 7-year-old who missed the bus today, so I'll be on camera very soon. I am a parent, but I'm also the vice chair, and this is my first year serving in the term. I've been on the SAC since January, and yes, I'll be on camera soon because my son missed the bus.
Oh, such lovely days. All right, Dimpy.
Hi, everyone. This is Dimpy Malvania. I'm here as a parent. Thank you.
Louis.
Hi, Louis Talarita, education consultant at the State Department of Education in the Bureau of School Health, Child Nutrition, and Family Services, and I serve in the role of the McKinney-Vento State Coordinator.
Yeah. Brian K. Smith.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brian Smith. I'm an Assistant Regional Director for Connecticut Developmental Services, and I oversee our South Region Individual Families and Self-Determination Division, and I'm representing all the DDS stakeholders.
Okay. And I will just say Representative Dan.
That'll work. Representative Dan Gajewski, representing the 40th District, comprising of Groton and New London. Thank you for having me. And I am going to have to hop off at 10 o'clock because I have another meeting that I'll have to get to.
Okay. Did I get all of the members here? Think. Miss anybody? Okay. Now, do we have anybody for public comment? Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it. Sorry, I checked the comments too.
Okay. All right. So let's take a look at our April 23rd, 2025 meeting minutes. They need to be approved. Do we have any corrections in those?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Was that you, Tom?
Yes, it was.
I'll second it.
Jen, I'm going to go with you. That's who I saw talking. Anybody abstaining? I know one, Susan, you were not here for that meeting. Okay, anybody else not here needs to abstain? Representative Comey,
Missy, I would not have been present for that meeting.
right, Eve, anybody else?
We weren't present there either.
Okay. Thank you,
And I think
Evan.
Allison's also on the absent. Were you there, Allison?
I was just checking my calendar. I think I may have missed it. I have something blocked off, so I apologize.
No, it's okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
You abstain.
Okay. So those who have abstained, all of those in favor to approve, wave your little hands. Okay. Minutes have passed. All right. Oh, let's move into old business. Let's get down to the brass tacks, right? All the good stuff. All right. So we will try to get through this pretty quickly. Just a couple of things. One thing you will have a little bit more to do with, but we have the annual report, which will be due February 15th of 2026. Now, it seems like a strange thing since we just got 2024 done. So, but here we are. So, at our next executive committee meeting, we will be setting up the timeline, getting everything set up as far as what's going to be done, and we will share more news as that comes forward. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to add about the annual report at this point in time? Susan?
Hi, Missy. Yes, I was wondering if we should, since the legislative session will already be moving by February 15th, should we be aiming for a little earlier, even though the official due date is the 15th? I don't know. I assume, Tom, you would have some thoughts on that, or
Yeah, it's one of those things we have our thing in our, whatever detail that we're supposed to do it by a certain date. I always recommend getting it out now, like as soon as possible. Like they're looking at this stuff. Rep. Comey and Dan Gaske can speak to that, but like they're looking at stuff now. Dan, get your hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally, for me, I'm going to start prepping in like November and December. So always the sooner the better. Just for, legislative purposes, it gives us the opportunity to talk to any committee chairs about any potential legislation that we're advocating for as the advisory council. So the sooner the better. And then we can talk to the chairs of the respective committees that they need to go to about potentially raising a bill this legislative session.
Okay. All good comments. We will discuss that at our next executive committee meeting, which I think is in October. So we will see what we can do about that. So that would be good. Okay. So our and part of that annual report would be to share what our priorities are for 25-26. So Christine sent out the notes from our summer retreat. So everybody should have that. You should have also received the synopsis. So what I did was I took what we did in-house at the retreat for recommendations for priorities. I took what we had from the people that were online and I combined all of those. And so we originally had a total of 10 areas. After showing this to the executive committee for their review before sending it out to everybody, Brian recommended, and it makes sense, I think, that the data areas, data and the SAC public relations weren't really priorities in that it didn't really address students' unmet needs. And so it's definitely something that we can make sure we cover throughout the year. And so we'll make sure that that's on our agenda to deal with those topics. Okay, so I know that Greg Glidden and Christine have worked very hard in setting up a survey for you to fill out. It's on an app that I've never used. So I'm turning this over to Christine so she can explain exactly what you need to do and show you the survey.
Absolutely. Okay, so it is super easy. The reason we're doing this format, we're using something called Alchemer, which used to be like Survey Genius, but it makes it relatively easy for you to be able to select the priorities that you're choosing. It allows you to have that graded kind of system. So you could choose what your first choice is, your second choice, your third choice without repeating it. So I'm going to show you first. I'm going to put the link inside the chat so you could select the link. I'm also going to do two things. I'm going to open up the QR code if that's easier to use your phone. And then I'll go and I'll show you what actually the survey looks like so you make sure that you have it on your phone or your computer. So here is the QR code if that makes it easier. Again, you could also grab the link from the chat. And then once we all feel we have it, I'll just put it up on the screen just so you could see what it looks like. And you could select, I think they're going to take the top 5 priorities, Missy. Am I correct by that? But you could still choose 1 through 8 with your choice selection.
We'll look at how it ends up. And if for some reason we need to have 6, we'll have that conversation depending on what everybody selects.
Okay.
Can someone just clarify what you mean by financial issues? And Brian has his hand up too.
Yeah, so thank you, Missy, and thank you, Christine, this up. So just as a refresh for folks, and I know we have some new people on the line as well, each summer the State Advisory Council has a retreat, and during that summer retreat, typically in July, there's discussions around the work from the past year, and then there's wonderful discussions and topics as far as setting priorities for the year ahead. And so we talked a little bit about annual reports, and there's some confusion because, not confusion, but there's some with the annual report because in the life of the school year, it's a half of last year's priorities, and then the new priorities that are just starting out for the full year, even though the legislation session starts in January or February. So that's just a note. We have very detailed discussions and further detail about these topics. So for example, if you're looking at the chart right now, one says parents. So we could, if you don't have, Jen had a question as far as if you need to select now, or there's no pressure for you to select now while you're on. But if you were involved in those discussions, either in person or online, you have a little bit more context about the details related to each of those topics. If you're just looking at the survey without having been a part of that meeting or haven't had the opportunity yet to review those notes, I would suggest that you don't vote yet until you have kind of more detailed information about each of those 8 topics. Missy, does that make sense for folks?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we also have some people due to the holiday that aren't able to join us. So they will be sent this survey, and so they will be able to add their responses in. So we're not expecting 100% completion today at this meeting. But definitely if you are new, you'll want to, to take a look at the notes. And so Susan, to answer your question, it was the financial issue in the SAC priority notes, the things that people identified during the retreat around financial, and it could be more if we decide that that's one of the places we want to address. But they talked about more financial support opportunities for smaller class sizes, more teachers and support staff, potential ways to hire and locate related services providers. And so looking at that, and again, we could be adding more pieces into that. But those were the comments that were made at the retreat.
Okay, and then I had my hand up just to clarify for those that are new. We are only addressing students in special education with IEPs. So if you feel like there's something with secondary transition, but it's someone with a 504, that's not, it's taken me a long time to do that, to come to realize that, but we're only addressing students with individualized education plans.
Thanks, Susan. That's a great point. And then, another point is there's so many different issues in special education that, we talk about at these retreats and these meetings. There's hundreds of different topics. And so through these discussions, we're able to kind of narrow down a little bit and select certain priorities. That doesn't mean that we won't have discussions about other areas and that information will come up and addressed. The two areas that Missy spoke about where there were 10 is marketing and making the public aware of the SAC. So I think that doesn't necessarily need to be a priority for the unmet needs of the students, but that's just something that we can help support the executive committee in doing throughout the year. One other issue that came up at the retreat was that the council would like to receive more data or receive data on certain topics that are related to the priorities. So as the State Department will support those data requests and data needs, so that doesn't have to be a priority area that you're focusing on for your recommendations for the legislature and the state. So it's not that those other issues won't be incorporated into the work. But if you think about your priorities, historically the State Advisory Council has had between 3 to 5 areas that they've recommended. I think in some years it's been 6, Missy, like you had said. Right. But if the more priorities you have, the harder it is to kind of narrow down that messaging, both for the state and for the legislature. So just a few comments on that. But appreciate CERC standing up that survey in real short time. If you combine that list along with the notes, have any questions, you could always reach out to the executive committee to receive, more information. And now's a good time to do that as well if you'd like to discuss any component of that.
Jen, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you. I just, again, want to bring everybody back to making actionable recommendations and having priorities that we can actually have an impact on, keeping in mind that there was a lot of legislation passed and that added to CSDE's plate. So when we make recommendations, what is something that's actually doable? How can we work towards making recommendations that can actually be implemented and that we can actually impact? So staying focused on that. And then looking at the priorities, I think like a lot of them, like staffing issues, every group in Connecticut is working, it's priority for staffing issues, and it's been one for a long time. So we want to consider maybe that's still important to us, but we're not working directly with it. So just like kind of think about those things. And then I wanted to clarify, like for the parents section, I think the idea at the retreat was meaningful parent participation, and eliminating some of the barriers around there, providing more parent training, just because it says parents and there's not a lot of context for the group. And then I did want to add, like we've had social, emotional, and mental health. I kind of would recommend being a little more specific this year because we have a lot of issues that go underneath it, and maybe supporting student behavior and mental health might be like a better reframe. Thinking about it covering restraint and seclusion, chronic absenteeism, and suspension and expulsion, which our students with disabilities are disproportionately impacted. So that was my 2 cents.
Thanks, Jen. All good points. And just to clarify, one thing that you want to make sure you do, especially if you're new, is to go back, as Brian said, and look at that draft of the SAC priorities that came out, because it does give you an indication of all of the different pieces that were talked about during the retreat. And so adding some of that in, but we appreciate any, being more specific, because I agree, it has to be actionable. It has to be something that we know, we'll be able to support and do something about to help our students, as well as districts, as well as everybody else who's involved. So, Tom.
Jen said pretty much everything I want to say. Thank you, Jen. That was awesome, because it's stuff I've been saying every year, I feel like, because it's important that we focus on what we can impact. Now, for those of you who are new, you may not totally have an idea what we can impact, but we're an advisory council, so we advise the State Department of Ed, so we're going to give them recommendations, and there's only so much the State Department of Ed can do, right? They can't miraculously come up with millions of dollars or, lots of teachers and staff. So, and then we also advise and give recommendations to the legislature. So, yes, I think actionable is one key thing to keep in mind. And the second is keeping them tight. When we have them broad and big and huge, then it's really not even manageable. Like if we're even just looking at the social emotional mental health one that you mentioned, Jen, like when we have 10 bullets under a bullet, it's really tough to be actionable on that. So as tight as we can make these. So I know that's not going to be reflected in this priority, this selection process, these top 8 or whatever. But I just advise or ask that as we move forward and executive committee, as we talk about these and tighten them up, soon, because I know we're trying to wrap this up fairly quickly, that we just try to keep them as tight as possible. Because otherwise it's hard to get work done on them. But so that's it. I appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. This is great, and great work, Cirque, Missy, everyone. I mean, putting this together, this is awesome. The work over the summer was great. So I think this is really strong. I think we have a really good foundation here and a good thing to move forward on. So I appreciate all your work.
Thanks, Tom. Robin?
Yeah, I would just add that, when we look at changing policy or revising policy, we don't want to be so prescriptive that we're saying, oh, you have to use this program to, improve as an opportunity to improve training around social emotional learning or something. But if there are barriers in our current legislation, from our view, we can remove those barriers. If there's something specific that you folks come across that you sort of hit a wall when working with a family, and then you want to, and it's because of specific policy in place, and those are important to just sort of flag for us as far as being specific to your points, Jen and Tom. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Any other comments, thoughts? Right. Okay, so once we get, I don't know if there's anything you can show us at this point in time, Christine. I don't know that we need to look at anything at this point in time. But once we get everybody's input, then we will bring that back to you and show you that. Sound like a good idea?
And Missy, we could gather the data as they move along. That's the nice thing about this. It's instantaneous. We do have a link to really share the data instantaneously. So don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Like, we'll look at it as results come in. So we'll have more of an idea of what this looks like as you submit your results. So don't feel like you have to do it immediately. We can just gather the information as we move along.
Okay.
To that point, real quick, can we just, I know you'll be emailing us out today or tomorrow or whatever to follow up with everyone else, but can we just give a deadline on it so that, because I know for me, if I don't have a deadline, it's going to be like early December by the time I remember the email and it's buried in my inbox. So maybe just give them a deadline of next Friday or something fairly short term. It's a matter of, 10, 15 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to do the survey, but just reading up, I think would be helpful, just so we're all on the same page. And I'm an advocate for less is more, right? So like, I know we said, 3 to 5 in the past, like we've had more success when we've had 3 or so, not more, just because it's harder to cover them all. Because we usually have little ad hoc committees that we create for each one, and more committees, there's less people on each one, and it gets a little tricky. But anyway, just as far as the date, thanks.
Yeah, Missy, that will work. I could do a follow-up email if you guys want to choose a date that works for all of you. And then I'll put the QR code in, the link again, and with the deadline of when we need it by. So just let us know.
Well, I agree with Tom. We want it sooner than later. So I know that there's a holiday for some, so they may not even be looking at their computers at this point in time. I'm not sure. I think it's yesterday and today, or is it today and tomorrow? I don't remember, but why don't we give them at least until Monday? Then we can pull all of that together so that we have it for when is our next executive committee meeting is the 8th. So we definitely want it before that. We want you to be able to pull it all together for us. When you send this out, make sure you send that CERC priorities draft again with them so that they have that reading material. Jeff?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask for. So Brian had mentioned that there would be reading material that would kind of back up and explain what the different categories were. So if that could be sent too, that would be awesome. I had submitted mine without reading that. So can I retract my submission and start afresh? Because I really want to read that. So I want to hit the oops button.
I'd have to ask Greg about that. We will see if one could be retracted. Not too sure. You're welcome. And if anyone wants the priority, they were in the email sent, I believe, yesterday. They're there, but I'll send it through the second email as a reminder, so it's also at your fingertips.
Okay. All right. Looking at time. Let's tarry forth. Membership committee report. Catherine?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay, so I have some good news to report. I was recently notified that we have a new legislative appointee on the SAC. I don't believe they're with us today. And my apologies if I'm mispronouncing their name, but Senator Sujata Gadkar-Wilcox was just appointed to the SAC. So welcome, Senator Gadkar-Wilcox. If you watch the recording, we're excited to have you join us. To report on other openings on the SAC, we currently have a vacancy for a paraeducator representative. So if there is someone you would like to approach and have them consider joining the SAC, that would be great because it's so important to have the paraeducator voice. And we also have several student vacancies. We have student members who graduated this past year. And while every voice on the SAC is important, the student voice is really the most important one because we're here for them. So I encourage you to encourage students to apply to the SAC. And Eve, I'd like to welcome you as the new CONCASE representative. Welcome. And I'm not aware of any other vacancies. So I think otherwise we're in good shape with membership. And I think you saw on the agenda that there is a vacancy for the chair of the membership committee. I've really enjoyed being the chair of the membership committee, but I just being pulled in a lot of different directions. And I want to be able to give the membership committee the attention it deserves. And I feel like I'm being pulled a little too much right now. So the chair position is open. If you'd like to learn more about the position, please contact me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I'm really happy to mentor anyone who is interested in taking on this role. And I, of course, intend to stay on the membership committee. And if you're concerned about the annual report, it should be very easy for me to update the membership portion. So if you want to join as the chair, we can collaborate on that. But otherwise, I think I can manage that. So I don't want that to be a barrier for anyone to consider this role. So so please let me know if you're interested. And it's a really fun committee. And yeah, I hope you'll consider it. Any questions? No? Okay.
No, but maybe you could just do a quick email and send it out to the full SAC since we have members missing today.
Absolutely.
Kind of maybe just highlight a couple duties. What do you think, Missy, Brandolin?
Well, yep. I'm excited about the new people we have joining us. So maybe we'll get a few more. That would be great. That would be really good.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Anything else? All right. Okay, ad hoc bylaw policy procedures update. Remember, just a reminder to community chairs, if you've not done so, please send, and you may send to Missy now, your operational procedure document for your committee. We will get together as a group and we will work on that, make sure we have those. The bylaws group, we'll be presenting the draft policy at our October 15th meeting for your approval. So that's almost set. We just have to firm things up and make sure that it's all set for everybody. So we will get that out before the October 15th meeting. So you have time to review it before the meeting, so that we can take a look at that and hopefully get your approval for that. Okay. Anything else on that? Okay. Legislative committee report. I know that Jeff, you're there, but I know also Brian would possibly wanted to speak to some of what's been going on about legislation. I don't know if he wants to do that here or if he was going to do that in his report, but.
Oh, at this point, the only thing is when we had our executive committee meeting, I was tasked with the responsibility of putting together some kind of overview of the legislative committee and then also kind of like a procedural handbook. And I did that and I submitted it to the executive committee. When we have our next meeting, or if you guys want, you can, I think I kind of hit what you were looking for. I'm not exactly sure what my assignment was, but it was in 2 parts, so it was kind of an overview and then it was kind of like a step by step. So if anybody in the future were to take over that, they would have it. So I'm hoping that's okay.
Excellent. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Okay, good. I think I got home like, what was that assignment again? So I can actually take that.
Oh, it's hard when we give you homework. I know.
All right, I'm going to put it up on the refrigerator with a star then, okay?
Tom?
Yeah, thanks, Missy. And thanks, Jeff. I know Jeff's done a lot of work in the last few years on our legislative piece and done a lot of good work and hard work. So I appreciate you. A couple great successes last year, just to highlight, if we can maybe roll some similar things in this year. The breakfast thing that we had in January, February was very successful. We had some legislators in the room, and that really helped, solidify some connections with legislators. In addition, obviously, to the ones that are here, Robin and Dan today, but and then the other thing I would say is continue to reach out, right? As Brian talks about what's happening up there, continue to reach out to your legislators and the ones especially the ones who are the chairs of the committees. I'm understanding they may run that special education committee again this year because it's run on a 2-year cycle, it seems. So I don't know if Robin or Dan have more information on that, but from what I understand, that might run again. So that's important. And Sujata Gaikar Wilcox is one of the co-chairs of that special education subcommittee. So that's great that she's joined the SAC. So again, just staying connected with those folks. It was a pleasure to see Missy representing the SAC the other day at the governor's press conference on special education. If you caught that on the news, I don't think you made the news, Missy, but you were.
Oh, no. Well, we watched Channel 8 News, and my son was sitting there. Well, are they going to show you?
Yeah,
And I
it
said,
was a
"No."
half hour. It was a half hour news conference, and they only show about 30 seconds or a minute, and usually the big dogs get the airtime. But but she represented us very well, so I was there and had the opportunity to listen, and it was great. So appreciate that, Missy, and it's a testament to all the work, Susan, Jeff, that we've all done getting us out there, and like we're being listened to. I remember back, Susan, sorry to take too much airtime, but you being at that press conference with Governor Ma, last year, when he was announcing some of this stuff. So they're listening to us. Like that didn't happen before. When I was chair, we didn't get calls from anybody to be included in that. So it's great that we have that voice. Let's use that voice. We're a wide stakeholder group. So I think let's keep pushing forward. And I think it's great. And the legislative is just one piece of that. So that's all. Thanks, guys.
I just want to add something in second what Tom said. I thought the legislative breakfast was a really important thing for us. I know that the Representative Khan was at our meeting, and there was a couple other legislators there, and they became intricate and important as we were moving forward. So I thought that was really good to do that.
It would be wonderful if the next step would be our in-person meetings were always held at the LOB, because I see other groups are there that aren't actually state and federally legislated, mandated, whatever groups that exist. So that would be my next, because just having that presence there at the LOB and be able to just zip out and talk to one of your legislators is invaluable.
Yeah, there are just certain times of the year that the rooms are more available than others, but I agree.
We'll put it on our goal list.
Yeah, and thank you to Representative Comey is the person that always speaks up for us and gets us rooms and calls all her fellow legislators and says to please listen to the SAC and come to the legislative breakfast was a success because of all your hard work, Representative Comey, and we are eternally grateful.
Oh, thank you, Susan.
Yeah, and another thing to second that for, I know we can call her Robin, she said. So, but a lot of times we were trying to follow these bills, and it was being under one number like 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of a sudden you're looking to find out where it went. And it got hidden in 5, 6, 7, 8, like section 214. And so I would write to Robin, I'd say, where did 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, that's in 5, 6, 7, 8, section 214. And that's how so it was really good to have her help track it down. So I appreciate you putting your boots on, going into the woods and tracking those things down.
I love it. I love it, Jeff.
That's
Thank
how
you.
we keep you on your toes. Up on our toes.
I love it. Okay. All right. Any other comments concerning that? All right. Okay. Then let's move on to new business. I did see that Kirsten just also popped in, so this is good. Brian, would you like to start? Looks like Brian's.
Okay, and if he needs me to share my screen, I do have the PowerPoint, Missy. It's just, I heard my screen was black or blue or not showing. Did you guys see that at all?
I didn't see it, no.
Okay.
Christine, if you have a problem, I can share my screen.
Let me give it a try and just let me know. I was having some issues with it, so let's see if it works now. And you guys can let me know.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. I guess I fixed it. I don't know how yet. It's all yours.
Excellent. Can everyone else see it, or is it just me? I just want to make sure. Yeah, we're good.
I see it. Yeah.
Okay, great. I wouldn't think I would be special there, but just in case. So, Christine, you'll be advancing the slides. Is that okay? You can go ahead.
Just tell me next, and then I'll.
Yeah, you can go ahead next. So, as I mentioned earlier, welcome back, folks. There should be a slide right before that. There you go. Yeah, so hope your school years are off to a great start. We had a very successful back to school session on September 5th. We were in a new location this year at the Bristol Event Center. We had a little over, just under actually 600 people attend. Historically, that back to school session is for school districts and directors and their teams. We also know that members of the State Advisory Council were there, so we do appreciate that. And then we also have our surrogate parents and variety of folks joining us that day. Our theme this year was progress through partnerships. And what we have a slide here. Oh, the screen went black, I think, again, Christine. For the State Advisory Council members, we also will make sure that you have those important updates related to legislation, and some of those I'll go over now with you here. We have our Bureau of Special Education. Oops, sorry, PowerPoint's a little trigger happy here. We have our Bureau consultants list updated based on the responsibilities that they have in the year ahead. So we can absolutely make sure that you understand the different roles on our team. We have 3 units that work interdependently across the initiatives that we have, both for federal and state requirements. It's an amazing team, and they're working around the clock through the summer, preparing for the school year, and working hard every day to support the students across the state, our staff and families and communities. This graphic should look familiar to you. It's our general supervision kind of one-page visual. This articulates the 8 different components that the state education agency is responsible for. The Office of Special Education Programs at the federal level oversees accountability for state education agencies, and we share that accountability at the local level. And these are some of the systems that we have in place. Some of them we'll be reviewing with you today. Kirsten's going to talk about themes related to our dispute resolution system. Many of you are probably familiar with our state performance plan, where we do presentations throughout the year. Our IDA fiscal management, and Alicia Tracus does presentations for the State Advisory Council related to our grant process. We talked about sharing data and so forth. Today, I'm going to share a little bit about our integrated monitoring activities for the year ahead. And I forgot to mention, please feel free to raise your hand at any point in time during the presentation. I won't go into great depth on this process now. I call it the simple flow chart, even though it's very complex, probably anything but simple. But just wanted to share that the State Department has a mechanism to address what are called any type of credible allegations, to determine if an allegation related to special education, either a procedural issue or an issue related to students receiving services. We have a variety of ways where information comes into the state. That information is reviewed, and then actions are taken by the State Department to either resolve that issue or dismiss it if it's not a credible allegation. So we'll talk throughout the year a little bit more about that process and answer any questions that you might have. Like most other systems, there's different tiers of intervention at the state. Universal monitoring refers to activities that happen in every district each year. So there are this list is a demonstration of touch points that we have with districts, all 170 LEAs every year. The LEA determinations for their annual performance report will be coming out next month, and so that will be information that we'll share with the council as well, and where that information can be located. The second kind of tier or component is what's called cyclical monitoring. So we have 3 cohorts in which the districts are situated. These cohorts are purposeful and strategic in that they're representative in each group for size, different locations. So there's a mathematical formula that we utilize to group the LEAs together. And so cohort A was last year, and these districts are involved in either integrated monitoring, file reviews, and an annual parent survey that we do. So you could see the years in which these districts are involved. The second cohort is cohort B. This is our current year. So you can get a sense of the districts that will be engaged in our activities this year. And then finally, C, our cohort C folks will be involved in our monitoring next year. An important note is that through that credible allegation document that I shared with you, that flow chart, districts can be identified for monitoring activities throughout the year in an off-cycle review. So, for example, if there are issues in any one of these districts this year that necessitated they could be engaged in activities with cohort B. So it happens from time to time, and typically it happens through that credible allegation process where we're increasing monitoring in a specific area in a specific year for a district.
Brian, can I ask just a quick question?
Yeah, please.
When you're referring to year, you're referring to school year, right? So 25 is a 25-26 school year.
Correct.
And then 26 would be the 26-27 school year.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome. Great question. And please, if you see hands, just interrupt me because I don't mean to be just talking to you all. So here are the different tiers laid out a little differently, and you can see by color code kind of how we approach that. The tier 1 activities happening within the cohorts. In the tier 2 activities happen for 50% of the districts in the cohort. So if last year cohort A, for example, district was not engaged in tier 2 activities, they would be engaged in that following cycle. So that's how the second tier works. And then the most intensive support is our tier 3, where we have legislation that requires us to randomly select districts for unannounced on-site visits. And then a select group from those cohorts are chosen each year on that topic. This next slide goes into a little bit more depth about what those tiers look like for cyclical monitoring, other activities that we're engaged in that are differentiated. An at-risk population could be, for example, students who are in correctional facilities or students who are under the care of Department of Children and Families, for example. So we're often differentiating these activities based on needs and working with the school districts. Last year for our integrated monitoring, unannounced on-site visits, you can just see some data here. I won't go through each of these numbers, but you can just see the activity that we were engaged in last year. Number of buildings visits, learning spaces observed as basically classrooms. As part of this process, we also do service verification with the districts and the students based on those selected students. We also interview staff within those on-site visits and speak with general ed teachers, special education teachers, related service providers, and paraeducators. Here's some themes from the last year's monitoring. I know just are with time. I know read through these, won't cover these, but we are looking at present levels of performance and actions with an objective. So that's an area of focus for us. We want to make sure we're not seeing IEPs that either where their present levels aren't clearly articulated or there isn't a connection to annual goals based on what the students' needs are. But overall, the process has been very positively received by the district. We've appreciated their partnership and collaboration in the requests that we've had. And despite the challenges, staff report loving their students and their jobs. I know there's a lot reported around, the challenges and the stress that staff are under, but in our interviews, it came through that they're, doing the work that they were called to do, so to speak, and that their students continue to drive their kind of passion for their vocation. Again, we know there are challenges around that from a variety of contexts, but that was one theme that we wanted to share with you today. So last legislative session, Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 5001, there are public acts now that are in place. There are a variety of legislative, as Jen mentioned earlier, new tasks for State Department of Education, new tasks for and activities for our local school districts and agencies. This is not comprehensive, but these are just a few things that we wanted to highlight for the purpose of today's meeting. One is that now there are the primary disability category of developmental disability previously could be in place for a child with an IEP through the age of 6. That now has been extended through the age of 8. That means a child cannot have a developmental disability category as their primary category when they turn 9 years old. So planning and placement teams have to ensure that reevaluations occur before that 9th birthday if, in fact, a student has a developmental disability for a developmental delay. Sorry, I said developmental disability, developmental delay for their primary disability category. In our guidance that we share with districts, we also made sure to include that this does not preclude planning and placement teams from changing a disability category earlier than age 9. So if they are able to do that through their process, they can absolutely do that. Second bullet there prevents any charging entity. An entity could be an approved private special education program. It could be a RESC, regional education program. It could be even another public school that once tuition rates are set and base rates are set for tuition at the beginning of the year, they cannot increase those costs mid-year. So if they, without appealing to the state and saying we need to increase our costs for these reasons, and then the State Department of Education is required to review that information and provide back or not, and allowance of that increase would happen in 60 days. So we're asking school districts to contact us if they are receiving information from a charging entity that increased their costs mid-year. This does not mean it needs more services as part of their IEP. These costs obviously are allowable as long as they're based on that base tuition and rate schedule that the districts were shared with in the beginning of the school year. Our unannounced site visits for RESCs and APSEP is another new requirement for the 2027 school year. So we're in preparation and including those unannounced site visits. We do these programs on a regular basis, but as far as those unannounced visits, fold it into our process. Another requirement is related to students who are placed out of district based on challenging behavior. So we just sent out guidance to districts to inform them that prior to an out-of-district placement, that the child must have a functional behavior assessment and or an updated or revised behavior intervention plan or implementing a behavior intervention plan prior to that placement happening. There is a provision in that new statute as well that an FBA or a behavior implementation plan, sorry, Missy, I'm trying with the acronyms here, is not in place or could not be conducted for reasons of safety, then the school district has to notify the state 2 days of that determination and give a justification and an explanation of what that safety issue is or requirement that would not allow an FBA or a BIP to occur. And then finally, just a couple of other quick ones. The APSEPs and the RESCs, or approved private special education programs in our regional education center, have to notify and the State Department of staffing changes or vacancies when they within a time frame. And the final one there are our public transition program standards. We are in the process of publishing those standards. It was a collaborative effort with a variety of partners to develop standards related to all public transition programs for students who are aged 18 to 22. And our partners at CERC will be assisting us in reviewing those programs based on the standards in the upcoming months and years moving forward. So I know that's a lot of information, so I'll pause there to see if there's any questions. And then I just have a couple more slides and then we can open it up as well. And I'll introduce Kirsten. Missy, how am I doing?
Sorry, I was muted. You're doing well. It's only 10:07, so you're doing okay.
I'm okay on time.
You're okay. We just want to give Kirsten her 20 minutes or so if she thinks she needs that. So
Absolutely. And we want to make sure there's time for folks to ask questions of Kirsten as well. This slide are our data related to our K-12 prevalence rates. And you can see the increase across time. There was another increase from the 24-25 school year. The interesting fact about our prevalence rates is that our all students continue to decrease and our special education counts increase. So part of that percentage increase is due to just a lower number of students total. But there are also other factors resulting in the increased prevalence rates, discussions that we can have as a council throughout the year. This is a
Representative Comey has her hand up.
Sure, go ahead. Thank you, Representative Comey.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
I don't know if this is a good time, but it did occur to me just now.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there would be an opportunity to for the group to understand if there's any impact on special ed services, or what the impact would be on special ed services to with any federal legislation and that sort of thing. Is that?
Sure. Yeah, and just I know that's a larger discussion and there's a lot of anxiety and concerns around that. For the purposes of our IDA grant, we did receive funding. So districts right now are being approved for their IDA grants for the next 2 years. And that funding has been allocated to the state. But there have been impacts in other areas not related to the IDA grant that perhaps we can put on the agenda and discuss at further length.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just to mention too, we so appreciate the state's commitment to special education and the work of the legislature last year and the focus on special education that brought a ton of new resources to school districts and to the state. There's a $30 million allocation for what's called the Special Education Enhancement Grant, and that's monies that will be given directly to local school districts based on the ECS formula. So there's appreciation there, I know, from the State Department, as well as I'm sure local school districts, and those additional resources. It's definitely a step in the right direction. This slide here, just highlighting here, you could see the highest percentage changes came in grades 1 and grades 9. So you can see from last year to this year, there was a jump from 16.8 to 19.2, and as well in the first grade. I know there's a lot of numbers there, and going through this quickly. We saw encouraging data from our least restrictive environment. So indicator 5A, these are students who are included with typical peers from 80% of their day to 100% of their day. We saw an increase this year in 5A. However, we're still not at the levels that we were prior to the pandemic. So we're on the right track in the emphasis and support that we've been providing. And I know that's been one of your priority areas as well for the State Advisory Council. In regards to placing students out of district, we saw our 7th year in a row of decreased percentage of sending students to settings outside of the school district. Connecticut still remains extremely high in that area when compared to other states. I haven't seen the numbers yet from other states as far as where they are, but we saw another decrease from the data 23 to 24 data. I'm not going to go through these sections just given the time, but this is information. There are many more new legislative requirements that we can talk about as a team. These are just some bulleted items for you, but I want to make sure we have enough time now to turn it over to Kirsten, who's going to give an update related to our dispute resolution process. Many of you know Kirsten from last year from presenting, but I know there's some new members, but we so appreciate Kirsten's expertise and experience, and turn it over to her right now.
Great. Thank you very much, Brian. And thank you all for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be in front of you. And just please know I'm accessible. If you do have follow-up questions after we briefly talked this morning, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to have conversations and discuss the dispute resolution process. So just as an overview, we're going to review mediation, complaints, and due process hearing numbers, show a comparison from previous years to where we were this past year. I'm going to do a quick introduction of our mediators and hearing officers because our panel has increased significantly over the past 2 years. So make sure everyone is aware of who they are and some of the training. And then we are going to give some themes from the due process unit. What we saw this past year, we narrowed it down to 5 and give an overview of what those themes were. So Brian, we'll move on. So we're going to start with the mediation numbers. We did have a slight dip this past year. Previously, in 2024, we had 377 mediations requested. This past year, it was 365. There are currently 25, as of a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago, there were 25 still pending. And we actually, some of those came in over the past 2 weeks. And so and thankfully, they were resolved in agreement. And so our number there is slightly higher. If you look below, you see mediations completed and the outcomes, the percentage rate. We have steadily increased for over the past 2 years. So we are actually at 75% as of today, as far as mediations that have reached an agreement. Day of mediation. I always like to put a little caveat on that because we do have many mediations that occur that resolve a week or 2 afterwards. Parties continue to have conversations and then they ultimately reach a resolution. But our data is only based on if that mediation resulted in an agreement day of mediation. We can tell they're resolving because they're not then moving on to another dispute resolution area. And anecdotally, we have this conversation. So as I said, we are at 75% agreement rate, which I'm going to go back for just a second, Brian.
Yeah.
Which is significantly higher than other states. I think that we should all be very proud of our mediation system. Most states average around 65 to 67% agreement rate. So coming in right now at 75% is much higher. And what I will say as a plug for mediations constantly, it is effective. It is a one-day process. And since we do have such a high, now 76% agreement rate for this past year, I do encourage all of you as you talk to people around you who are curious about the system, encourage them to participate. It's a wonderful option for dispute resolution. So we'll shift now to the complaints. So complaints had a significant increase. This past year, Connecticut saw a 29% increase in state complaints. But significantly with that is the 4-year span. We've seen a 64.5% increase over the past 4 years. So we have this opportunity at the state of Connecticut that we're able to touch base with other SEAs and have and other state education agencies and have conversations about their numbers. I'm aware of what their numbers were for 4 years, but I was curious about this past year of 2025. So I got on the phone, I called these different states and said, just give me a preview. I know it hasn't been released yet publicly, but what did you see?
And this here is a chart that demonstrates the percentage increase in state complaints in the 25 school year. So New Hampshire at 10%, Tennessee 16% increase in state complaints. Arkansas was a 21% increase in state complaints, 22 in Illinois. Then we see South Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, and Texas all at a 27% increase. We're there at 29% increase, and North Carolina and Utah all saw a 43% increase. However, I have to say that one piece that I found most profound when talking to the other state agencies, that the increase in Texas over a 4-year period of time was over 260% increase. So it is something we're seeing across the country. And when we get together and collaborate from state to state, 267, thank you, Brian, increase over the past 4 years. That is a profound number, and state agencies are tracking this. We're talking about it, understanding what is happening in our system, but it is something we're seeing across the country. So moving now to hearings, we saw 289 requests for a due process hearing this past year. There are currently still 28 that are active, which is pretty typical. You can see the data here. We had 217 that were withdrawn before the hearing began, 6 that were withdrawn during the hearing. There were 11 fully adjudicated, 17 dismissed, and 10 were consolidated. So if you go down a little bit, Brian, it will show our fully adjudicated cases. This is just a chart to see who prevailed. I know that's interesting data. These are all posted on our website, so people are welcome to read the full decisions as well. But you'll see in 2025, we had 7 in which the district prevailed in a fully adjudicated hearing, 3 in which the parent prevailed, and 1 which we call a split decision. So the hearing officer found in part for the parent and in part for the district. It's an interesting set of facts. People are always curious about this. Again, we're very consistent across the country. Typically, although we have numbers where the district is prevailing on a higher rate than the parent, that is consistent with what people see across the country. We did have 1 year, you see where the parents in 2023, where the parent actually prevailed, and we at that point prevailed more than the districts. Quite a few people to point in time to find out what was happening because it's so uncommon for that to happen. But we see pretty consistent percentages how other states fall with that. So Brian, I'll have you move on. So just a preview, as I said, over the past 2 years, I'm excited to report that we've doubled the number of, more than doubled for mediators. We've doubled the number of mediators, and we've doubled the number of hearing officers that are available on our panel. So here's our list of these are our mediators. They all come from a diverse background of experiences. We have some attorneys, we have some professional mediators. That's what they have always done. That is their career path. And we have other people that are former assistant superintendents or directors in school districts. So it's done intentionally to have a variety of mediators. It's interesting because we do collect data on our mediators. After every mediation, parties are sent a form to provide their feedback and their experience with the mediation process. Each one of those forms is reviewed. I review them as well as my colleague, Sean Cronin, who you all know. We go through those. We use that information to determine training is appropriate for the mediators and to provide them specific one-on-one feedback. So it is something that is used. It is something we value because it helps us determine what we will find. It's interesting, I will say, because some people tend to like one style better than others, and that's why we do this on a rolling basis. So everyone has received a mediator on a rolling basis. That's how it works, unless there's a conflict and there's some reason they can't perform. But it does provide a variety and option for people to experience different types of mediators and different techniques. So our mediator training is robust. Last year, they received 20 hours of professional development. We do a monthly meeting with all of the mediators. Again, we use that feedback from those mediation forms to dictate exactly what we're going to do in the mediator training. We actually have one tomorrow. In addition to that, we do case studies, which has been fantastic and so valuable to all of the mediators. We take a particular case that one mediator presents. It's a hypothetical situation. It's not specific with names or any pieces. It's what they have created to do as a presentation to the group. And we go through a role-playing exercise and discussing issues and language and how to effectively manage that. It has been fantastic. And all the mediators, we did a review. What do you want next year? And 100% unanimously, all of the mediators requested that we continue to do the case studies. So I'm excited that is going to continue this year. We also brought in outside providers to provide training. Bill Loesch from Quinnipiac Law School did an intensive mediation training for us. He did that this past year. The mediators also participated in a 3-hour special education legal update with Perry Zerkel. He's known in the field as the expert on special education law. And if you ever read any type of information with OSEP, it's often letter to Zerkel. That's the man. That's Perry Zerkel. And so he did provide that training for our mediators. In addition, the mediators do observations. They observe each other, and it can be similar to teaching, sometimes somewhat isolating. You're in a silo. You don't know what other people do. We provide this opportunity for the mediators to go in and observe each other and have somebody observe them, which is a fantastic opportunity for collaboration and learning from each other as to different techniques and how they handle situations. And then finally, as I mentioned, that we do the feedback forms. We then provide quarterly meetings and updates with individual mediators. On the feedback forms, we sent out, after every mediation, we received 175 forms back, which for any of us who are sending out surveys know that that's a huge number to get back. So we were pleased to get that number back, and I'm happy to report that the mediator's average rating out of 5 was 4.7. So moving now to our hearing officers, here they are. We have again increased this panel, and I'm thrilled to have a group of 10 available to our parties that are participating in due process hearing. They're all attorneys, all members of the bar in the state of Connecticut. They come from a wealth of experience, and I always enjoy participating in the hearing officer training because it's a lot of analysis and discussion and sparring of law. And I find that as an interesting process. So they are true consumers of the law and are happy to discuss anything special education related. But here are our new hearing officers, our panel of hearing officers. Again, I'm pleased that we're saying it is 10 now. There's been recent legislation encouraging that hearings will be 4 days unless there's some type of reason that it would need to extend. It's wonderful to have this large group with an extensive background, also in other jurisdictions, because they're helping to guide this process and make this process simple or easier to manage the time periods that are required for hearing. So those are our hearing officers. Hearing officer professional development. They did 36 hours of hearing officer training last year. And they do rotate between internal meetings and external trainers. So we provide both. We like to bring in outside providers that have a specific set of skills and expertise, as well as, again, those internal discussions. The internal discussions are based on conversations with the field. So if people call, ask questions, or we start to see patterns by the communication that we receive, from hearings, from orders, from anything that takes place in the course of the hearing, we then have specific trainings regarding that issue and have conversations around that. On the external meetings, we have brought in Deistedi Merced, who comes from Special Education Solutions, who did an intensive full-day workshop of drafting pre-hearing conference orders and writing a defensible decision. So we did a hands-on in-person training for them with this writing exercise. Perry also talked to the hearing officers, which was great. They know him well, and some of them have collaborated with writing with him in the past. So that's so fantastic. And I'm going to wrap up here quickly. I know we're running out of time. We also did a 3-day intensive training in New York City this past summer that allowed our hearing officers to come together with hearing officers across the country at an impartial hearing officer IDEA academy. So that was fantastic. We covered issues from LRE for incarcerated students to dyslexia, due process hearings. We did the writing defensible decision, credibility determination. So we had an extensive training. So themes from the due process unit. I excuse the way this is written. We presented this slide also back to school. And so I gave an anecdote for our time. I'm not going to go through all of that. So why the oven door is open. The purpose of this, it was just as a reminder that we have to understand why we're using why we're using certain phrases. And what we have found is a theme in the due process unit that often people will say this, I've always done it this way. This is how we do it because this director before me told us this, or this parent said this is how I should do it. And so one of the themes that we want to encourage out to everybody is understand why things are being done a particular way or why you think that needs to be done if it's for your own child, for your child. So it's the why piece. And it's not saying that advice you've been given is right or wrong. It's understanding the reasoning behind why you're doing something. The second thing that we saw quite frequently is an understanding of the difference between a unilateral placement and a parental placement. Those terms are not interchangeable. They do have different meanings, and understanding the different meanings. And my 30-second piece of what it is, a unilateral placement is when a student challenges, a parent says that this IEP is not appropriate. I think it's not appropriate, and therefore I'm giving you 10-day notice that I'm going to place my child someplace else because I do not believe the IEP as written is able to provide FAPE. Okay, that's a unilateral placement. A parental placement is a parent just decides they want to place their child in any private school, and they have a right to do that. IEEs, we saw a lot of IEEs this year in the due process unit. IEEs, it's a big issue, and often we see it come into complaints and to due process hearings regarding whether or not the district's evaluations were appropriate. The big rule is if a parent requests an IEE, the district has the opportunity to either grant that request or file for a due process hearing without delay. Finally, we have a lot of issues with vacancies, or a lot of things that percolate because of vacancies. We see that both in state complaints and hearings. And so what has been the comment to the school districts is to document what you're seeing, what you're doing, how you're making that up, how you're making sure you're communicating with families about what actions are being taken place. And that jumps in, I know we have 2 minutes, Missy, I'm on it, that the last piece is what we tell everybody, the biggest lesson I can say to anybody about avoiding the due process unit is communicate, 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 and then you'll have a better chance of not coming to see us. So does anybody have a question? I know I rushed through that, but I'm sensitive to time. Any questions? Do you see any hands? Okay.
Well, I think that last bullet is probably the best for anything that we're working with, right? Is to make sure everybody's communicating with each other. So, so thank you. Oh, Tom, I see your hand now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say real quick, maybe we can set aside time on our next agenda, which will be a little bit longer in length to maybe as we absorb this. I know we're going to get slides and stuff. We may have questions, but now's not the time to get into them. That'd be great. Thanks.
Yes, we will follow up with the slide decks as well right after the meeting.
Excellent. Okay, well, we have 10:29. This is the time for our roundtable. Does anybody have, and Kirsten, thank you very much. I was at back to school, so it was nice getting this again because now some things that I didn't understand, I got a better grab of, so I want to thank you for that. Okay, roundtable. If anybody has anything that they would like to share as far as what's happening with you, positive outcomes, anything for your interests, stakeholder group. Jeff.
Yes, hi. So each year for the month of October, October is ADHD Awareness Month, and we have a proclamation coming from the governor declaring that. Also in Norwalk, we're having the mayor issue a proclamation, and we have an event which will be happening next Thursday, October 2nd at the Norwalk Public Library at 10 o'clock, hopefully to get a lot of press coverage. And the library is very good. They put out a whole bunch of books on ADHD, etc. So I just want to let you know that the state of Connecticut is, I think, the first state in the entire United States to recognize ADHD month in October. And I would say that it is particularly important this year with some of the criticism about ADHD and some of the medications that came from the MAHA report last May.
Thank you. Susan?
Hi, everybody. Jennifer's, I believe, is going to send this out, but the state of Connecticut has now opened the Every Child Art Experience Grant Program. And this is, it says it's $2,500 given to selected public schools to support taking students on an out-of-school arts-based experience. So it basically, I believe, covers transportation, as we know, but I believe it could also maybe help a school fund a para, so our students can have out-of-school field trips, art experiences, more oh my gosh, someone fill the word, have more access to out-of-school art experiences. So Jennifer will send that out, but it's also on the Office of the Arts website under the Every Child Art Experience. Thanks.
All right. So that just reminds me, if you do have any flyers or activities or things that are coming up that you want all of us to know about, this isn't, send them to Jen. Because she will then send out all of that information to all of us so that we have it. And then you would have direct links to, if there's something to register for or sign up for, you would get those direct links. So please make sure you send those to Jen. All right. Brian?
Just wanted to mention again for some of our newer members, and I know, Evan, this might be your first meeting, and is it Miss Marella? Yeah, so for next meeting, the roll call is an opportunity for any member of the State Advisory Council to share their experiences. And we always love to hear from students about, how things are going in their school, what they're seeing in their communities. So for the next meeting, if you wanted to prepare for that, that there's always an opportunity to share important things. But student voice is so important to this council. The leadership on this council actually revised the bylaws of this council to ensure that we had student voice. So that's an opportunity for you throughout the school year, but we're so glad to have you join us today.
Excellent, Brian. Thank you. And Evan gave you a thumbs up in case you didn't see that. So we'll look forward to that, Evan. Thank you. Anybody else? Then I need somebody to motion to adjourn our meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
All right, we're going to go with Evan. How's that?
Fine with me.
Okay.
Yep.
And what I'd like to say, it is 10:33, and everybody in favor say bye.
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 Oh.